Under the morning sun's bright rays, Helen and Sylvia wait anxiously in the grand hall of the annex. Sylvia is visibly concerned for her son, while Helen tries to reassure her, offering comforting words about Leon's capabilities. Finally, Leon descends the stairs from his room, announcing his readiness. Sylvia and Helen turn their attention to him as he makes his way down. With a smile, Leon declares that he's off to the training hall. As he leaves, Helen can't help but express her worries, urging him not to overexert himself. Leon acknowledges her concern and heads out for his first day at the training hall. Meanwhile, the training grounds buzz with activity, welcoming aspiring martial artists from various backgrounds. Leon is among them, surprised by the sheer number of participants. He notes that it's not only members of the Zekart family but also students recommended by vassal families and from outside the clan. Amidst the crowd, Leon overhears whispers and laughter directed at him. Turning to investigate, he sees students mocking him, commenting on his appearance and the floral bracelet he wears. This insults the spirit of the blue ball of fire, which flares up in response. Unfazed, Leon approaches the mocking students, warning them sternly to stop their disrespectful behavior or face severe consequences. He challenges them to say their insults to his face instead of hiding behind whispers. This bold confrontation surprises and unsettles the mocking students, who try to justify their actions by pointing out Leon's lower status and lack of direct lineage within the clan. However, Leon calmly reminds them that they too are from indirect bloodlines and thus have no right to question his actions. In a moment of frustration, one of the students attempts to grab Leon by the neck, escalating the confrontation further. As he cocks back his fist to attack, Leon also prepares to fight back. His eyes start to glow red and he glares at the opponents before him. In the next instance, a voice yells out to stop the fight and the kid stands down, immediately concerned about the consequences. Another kid walks up to them saying that the training is starting soon and points out that this place has outsiders visiting too. He questions if the students plan on shaming the Zeegard name. He is introduced to be from the direct bloodline. Buren Zeikart Buren faces off against our hero in an intense stare-down as the two students stand beside him in shame and apologize to the boy of the direct lineage. The arrogant boy crosses his arms to mention that our hero is still not aware of his place. He exclaims that Leon is nothing more than dust, telling him to stay low if he doesn't want to get kicked out of the annex. Following the confrontation, Buren recalls the time at the judgment ceremony, pissed that Leon getting the patriarch's attention was just pure luck, and he just used the situation to his advantage. Buren scoffs and frowns, concluding that a loser like Leon will definitely fail the training. Our hero observes as Buren walks away, asking him to leave if he is not going to behave, also mentioning that he is not going to pass the training anyway. But before Buren can leave, Leon points out that he has heard enough of his nonsense. This startles him as his eyes widen and question at the unexpected statement. Buren immediately turns his head at the disrespectful child and our hero continues. He insults Buren for his arrogance, claiming that the only thing going for him is the fact that he's from the direct bloodline. Aside from that, Leon warns him that he has no right or authority to talk down to him when he's not even a trainee. He then taunts him even further by saying that he might actually be able to do something if he goes, and complains to his father like a brat. This enrages Buren as he grits his teeth in frustration, and his eyes sharpen at the bastard who has spewed such nonsense. But before he can do anything, a door bursts open beside the two growling beasts, ready to kill each other. Out comes the red-haired elf, who stares in amazement at the two kids already fighting even before the training has begun. Leon immediately recognizes the man to be the Zygarde family's brilliant sword lemur. He recalls that Lemur had retired because his energy core had been destroyed. He glances upon the sudden appearance of the man, expressing that he did not expect him to be here. Meanwhile, Lemur joyfully asks the kids to hold off the fight until at least the entrance ceremony ends. And, obeying the brilliant sword, Buren walks away quietly as he scoffs. Moving forward, the entrance ceremony has started as all the students stand in line in front of a stage where Lemmer welcomes them all and joyfully introduces himself to be the head instructor who will be in charge of their training. Pointing out the number of candidates to be 160, he expresses that it's way too many, and so he says that he will cut down the numbers with a series of tests. In fact, he clarifies that the number will be cut down to a quarter. This sparks confusion and astonishment among the crowd of students as they question this absurd claim, but Lemmer elaborates that he prefers to only keep a small number of elites and not bother with the riffraff. Lemmer casually sits and rocks on his chair upon the stage, as he expresses that his word is considered law on the training grounds. If anyone has a problem with what he has to say, they can take it up with the patriarch. Following this warning, he asks to begin the tests right away. He points out at the students, telling them to immediately start running. This confuses the students as they at first question this absurd test, but later they rush away as they compete against each other diligently. Lemmer cheers them on as he shouts that the basics of martial arts are physical strength and mental power, encouraging them to run as fast as they can. Sprinting before the other students, the spirit of the blue ball of fire appears in front of Leon to express his concern. It wonders why Leon is all the way in the back when he should be aiming for the front, but Leon elaborates that it's not a competition and he does not need to get past the other guys. Leon knows that Lemmer is observing, expressing that he looks into others' potential and temperament, and he won't be judging based on just what the eye can see. Sweat trickles down his face. He huffs desperately, attempting to catch his breath, and he assesses that the winner in this test is the one who endures until the end. Concluding his assessment, he is determined that he will make it until the end, no matter what. Commenting on the test, the instructors announce that Sir Byrne and Lady Lunan can be seen sprinting at the front. They discuss that everyone is fast, but it is especially so in the case of these two. Another instructor also adds that the speed they are running at isn't their best, so he's sure that they can run for hours on end. The race continues in full spirit as the students rush forward on the track. Observing the students is Lemmer, the brilliant sword. He singles out Leon, questioning how he is still running. He elaborates that Leon had exhausted his stamina long ago, and he's way past the boundary of determination. Lemmer concludes that Leon shouldn't have any stamina left in him to squeeze out. He can tell that our boy has the same kind of mentality as those who have been trained to survive until the brink of death, which is quite fascinating for a young child observing this amazing talent. Lemmer deems the young master to be quite interesting. Seeing Leon continue running and keeping up with him and raids Byrne, he scoffs and questions just how Leon is still able to keep running. When he was told that the boy was too weak to train, he recalls the information provided by his messenger that the Saint of Rags assessed Leon with the curse of the bitter cold. Leon has a low chance of surviving childhood, let alone learning martial arts. And even at first glance, it's not a secret that Leon looks fragile, annoyed at things not going according to plan and everyone proving him wrong. Byrne grits his teeth in frustration before yelling out the move, aura utilization. A burst of energy follows right after, with beams of light crackling around his body. In his childish rage, Byrne has started using his aura in the race just to show off that he's much better than everyone else, and he rushes forward with electric beams crackling and sparking around him, leaving behind Lunan and Leon, who follow him. Witnessing the sudden change in speed and agility, Leon is quite taken aback. He observes that although Byrne speaks like a noble, he is just a kid in comparison. He thinks that Lady Lunan might actually be much more mentally mature than the brat who rushed ahead, keeping his focus. He then concludes that this is just a test and not a competition, so there's no need to break his pace just because his opponent wants to show off. The sun shines down once again as the hot beams scorch the ground, and all the other students who withdrew from the test due to exhaustion fall to the ground as they catch their breaths. The two kids that called Leon names and bad-mouthed him observe and question how the boy is still able to keep running. Another student adds that she had heard of Leon being weak because he is ill, but this result contradicts everything. Our brave young master keeps on going while the students wonder how he does not get tired. The pain intensifies and grows, but Leon holds his own to survive. His eyes begin to close slowly as his consciousness slips, and he acknowledges that he cannot breathe properly. The intense situation now lessens when, before more damage can be done, the brilliant sword of the psych art calls for the test to be over, and all the students participating in the test fall like flies to catch their breath and take some rest on the ground. Leon also joins the students to catch his breath as he sweats profusely while Burin glares at him with a look of frustration, calling him a determined bastard in annoyance while catching his breath and breathing heavily. He acknowledges that he almost died and concludes that this life isn't going to be easy either. Lunan looks over and observes our hero while he catches his breath before the spirit of the demon lord appears once again to throw a tantrum. He yells and puffs up in rage and frustration, calling him a monstrous bastard and questions how he managed to pull it off. Answering the question, Leon reminds him that this is why he asked him to stop. Acknowledging the outcome of the limit testing training, he notices that the ring of fire has also grown, and thanks to the status window, his physical capacity has improved too. He aspires that if he continues to train like this, he can achieve greater feats. Just then, his attention is diverted and he looks up to find a huge status window in front of him that notifies him of fulfilling the conditions, resulting in increased experience points and physical capabilities. Leon glares in astonishment at the status window with his mouth open while the spirit of the demon lord exclaims and questions why he is getting extra experience points for putting up with his rage. He yells out and states it to be absurd. The students once again stand before the stage as Lemmer, the brilliant sword, commends everyone for doing their best, and he moves on to what he said before the test started. Hearing this, the looks on the students' faces show despair and nervousness as they await their inevitable failure of passing. But to their surprise, Lemmer playfully exclaims that he was just lying about cutting down the numbers to a quarter. He paces across the stage as he addresses the students and reminds them of running with all they had. He points out that none out of all the 160 of them kept it up until the very end except for one. He also mentions students who gave up and started using aura. This alerts Burin, who is guilty of doing so, and he fears suspension over this act. But as he crouches down in front of Leon, he adds that he does not care how they do it, as they are the ones taking the test after all. And he makes an okay sign up in front of Leon as he continues to tell them that if the students do as he says, they won't fail the test, but he also mentions that it won't be easy either. Moving on, he now faces the students once again and addresses them to tell that they are now provisional trainees but will become official trainees once they pass the tests they will take in the next 6 months. He joyfully mentions that he is going to pick the top trainees, although he won't be the one to rank them. Calling off the trainees, Lemmer lets them go and guides them to the top-quality dormitories provided by the Zygarde family, mentioning that there is a training center next to it too. Tree leaves flutter, and the sun shines through the forest. We are now brought to the forest near the training hall as Lemmer walks up to a mysterious figure in royal attire that awaits his arrival. Lemmer, the brilliant sword, winks and addresses the person in front of him as he states that someone has taken up his napping spot. He reveals the person to be the Patriarch, Glenn. The Patriarch acknowledges Lemmer's arrival and immediately asks him what had happened. Lemmer slowly walks up to him and asks the Patriarch why he is asking him when he himself was here the entire time to witness the whole thing. But continuing with his statement, Lemmer explains that the Patriarch knows he has great eyes and can see the future and children elaborating. He tells that Burin and Lunan are greatly talented, as they already knew, and the other children also have a lot of potential to become great pillars of the family, but he adds that he cannot see anything in Leon. The Patriarch proceeds to acknowledge this information, while Lemmer adds that he was sure Leon was out of stamina, which he questions and asks how he was able to keep on running. He also tells the Patriarch that it is the first time after him that he has not been able to see anything in someone, and he expresses in joy that his life has been very boring ever since his energy core had been ruined. But this is going to be interesting. But he also mentions that he believes there is going to be someone this year to whom he can leave his future, but the patriarch disagrees and states it to be just a coincidence. He exclaims that the child cannot become a martial artist. Seeing the patriarch off, Lemmer acknowledges this statement and smiles before he exclaims that the patriarch knows very well that it's not just a coincidence. Sighing and finally having the rest he needed, our hero sets off to the training center. Now that the test is all over with, two students glare and observe him as he steps away, and the blue ball of fire is amazed that Leon does not seem to stop training. The group of students that stand behind Leon as he walks away glare viciously at him with murderous intent, and as the sun sets over the training grounds, they exclaim it to be impossible. Two students rally on about how there's no way Leon held on for that long when they had heard that he was sick. They go on while the yellow-haired man from the indirect lineage, Crane Zickhart, gleefully assesses the situation. Crane addresses the situation and adds that he had heard Leon had some kind of miracle medicine, elaborating that the Saint of Rags gave him one long ago. This follows up with a shocking response from the two trainees who question the saint giving him this kind of boost. They scream out to conclude that this means Leon had been dependent on the medicine to run that long, and he had the gall to show off. Concluding their assessment, Crane suggests that they go and teach the arrogant bastard a lesson for using cheats against them in the training. Transitioning right into the act of words, our hero is seen being slammed into a tree as he groans in pain. He slides down to the ground under the pale moonlight and asks why the group of students is doing this to him, but Crane scoffs and questions this statement from Leonardo. The other two students yell out and point at Leon as they elaborate that he got his direct lineage title taken away, but he is all arrogant because of some miracle medicine. They claim that if he did not have the miracle medicine given to him by the Saint of Rags, he could not have run that much today. At the training, they go on to question, how dare he use such dirty tricks? But Leon assesses the rage and anger the students are feeling as he concludes that they are mad over something stupid. Proceeding with the confrontation, they start to prepare and stretch to launch an attack as they ask the young assassin not to be scared because they are just here to talk. Crane leads the group as they stand before Leon and threaten him. He asks him to rest assured as this kind of thing happens often before he rushes forward at the young assassin, exclaiming that the instructor asks them to talk more to each other. Leon slowly stands up while the spirit of the Lord of the Demon Realm questions if he is just going to stand there listening to them talk to him like that. He also mentions that he is supposed to be his vessel, but he expresses that it's not that big of a deal. However, in a shocking turn of events, Crane is struck away with a punch to the face as the vicious glare now transfers over to the brave warrior, Leon. A loud gasp follows right after as the two students are shaken up from the unexpected outcome. And this expression is also shared by the spirit of the Demon Lord, who had once closed his eyes to not see the unfortunate circumstance that might befall his vessel. Crane is blown away and falls to the ground before the two students, who turn their heads in shock and take a glance at their fallen leader, who got defeated with just one punch. While Leon expresses the same threatening tone, he questions their claim to talk, and he viciously glares once again to ask them to talk if they wanted to so badly. The two students rush forward, giving it their best, and attempt to hurt the talented trainee, but their attempts are futile because they are no match for the once best assassin in the world. Seeing the group fall to their knees, another student calls upon them to question what they are doing. He then takes up the mantle to take on the bastard as he rushes forward to strike a punch while questioning the other's ability to defeat Leon. But before he can finish his sentence, his face meets with the fist of our hero as he falls to the ground as well. Leon continues to effortlessly defeat all the opponents that come charging at him, while the spirit of the Demon Lord watches in awe and remarks that his vessel is doing exceptionally well, calling the scene magnificent. The beaten-up students now beg for mercy as they fall to the ground and give up their hostile behavior toward the one they called a bastard. In a threatening act of violence, Leon steps on Crane's hand as his wails echo throughout the forest trees, and he states to ask one more thing of him before he lets him go. Of course, Crane obediently wills to answer, falling under the agonizing pain as his voice stutters. When he speaks, Leon questions who was the person that made them do this, and he immediately mentions if it was Burin. Crane snaps and is alerted upon hearing his name, but he mumbles that they did this without the young master knowing, and he is not related to this at all. Our hero seems to be confused, and he expresses that such an answer is unexpected when he thought Burin hated him, but he concludes that maybe the guy is not too far gone. Following the confrontation, he questions Crane if he is safe to assume that he would not go on telling others about their conversation. Once again, Crane immediately mutters to agree to the terms. However, just then, the bully is grabbed by his hair and brought closer to Leon, where he glares viciously into his eyes to tell him that he better avoid him if he does not want to have another conversation with him. Filled with fear and horror, Crane immediately mutters that he will not even step on the young master's shadow. Leon lets him go, asking him to go away if he understands. The group rushes off away from the threatening young master, but there is a mysterious man hiding among the shadows that watches over the situation. The man is revealed to be Lemur, who smiles at the outcome of the quarrel as he deems it interesting to watch, and he expresses that it was like seeing the patriarch when he was young. Then he concludes that Leon seems to be talented in martial arts too, making him a true Zygarde. Lemur's excitement reaches the skies as he mentions an unknown talent hidden among the most talented children, and he expresses that he is getting even more interested in our hero by the day. Not gonna lie, the dude is starting to creep me out. Bringing us back to the training halls, we see the former assassin gazing upon the message window as it notifies him of Raphael being satisfied with the conditions being fulfilled and his agility being increased by 1. The spirit of the demon lord expresses rage and anger as it acknowledges the extra bonus points for something so pointless. He questions the increase in ability, but Leon asks why he doesn't know when he's the one who made the system. But the spirit grits its teeth in frustration as it confronts him, and answers to tell that it's obvious that he does not know, especially when it has never been taken away from him before. He elaborates that Leon is stealing his power that remains in his original form. Now, enlightened of such information, Leon acknowledges this fact in glee. This annoys the spirit as it flares up in anger and exclaims that the little bastard does not even show any gratitude. The young master ignores the spirit and sits across his desk with the cup in his hand while the spirit scoffs in frustration, and it states that it has an offer to make, which sparks the curiosity of Leon, who asks about the offer. The spirit asks our hero to bet on something with his rage, and our hero sets experience points on the line. If he loses, our hero receives his rage, but if he wins, he receives all his experience points. Sipping on his drink, Leon carefully gazes upon the message window as it displays the bet placed by the spirit of Wrath. The condition is to pass as a top trainee for the training test, and the rewards and punishments follow. Leon questions if the bet has been placed upon the test that Lemur has mentioned, and Wrath confirms, adding that he said he will choose only the top trainees. Leon's gaze falls upon a card labeled Trait Option, and upon questioning, Wrath tells him that he'll be given one of his traits, but the level will be decreased since he is inferior. Curious to know, another question is shot up upon what is the rage, and Wrath answers to tell that he will take on the emotion of rage that he possesses. Smiling widely, Wrath elaborates that what he will get is next to nothing, but with enough of it, he won't be able to control himself and will go insane. Hearing such a statement, our hero realizes this is what Wrath is going for, and as he sips his tea, he adds that considering how he usually behaves, it does not seem like Wrath is lying, and he has answered every question he has been asked. Honestly, contemplating over the rewards of the bet, he remarks that it is not too bad elaborating it to be a poisoned apple that he has to eat, but he considers it nevertheless, given that it will be difficult to get the top place if he was a normal ill child, but he remembers that he has reincarnated. Reaching forth his hand, Leon accepts Wrath's bet, making him smile widely as he remarks his choice to be wise. Blue flames flare around Leon's hand as the message window notifies that he has accepted Wrath's bet. He believes that if he utilizes his past life, he won't lose.
Love the manhwa? Subscribe for more. Your support makes it all possible. Hit subscribe now!